Hello friends, today's lesson is force and energy. Force is defined as a push or pull applied on an object. Push or pull are the actions that make objects move. For example, a bullock pulling a cart, a man pushing a bike, a boy lifting his school bag, and a girl kicking a ball. In all these cases, effects of force. Force can make an object move. A force acting on a stationary object can make it move. Also, a force acting on a moving object can make it move faster if the force is applied in the same direction in which the object is moving. For example, a football player kicks a ball to make it move. A boy pushes a cart to make it move forward. Force can stop a moving object. A force acting on a moving object can slow it down or stop it completely if it is applied in the same direction opposite to the direction of motion. For example, a goalkeeper uses his hands to stop a football from rolling into the net. Force can change the direction of a moving object. A force acting on a moving object from an angle can change the direction in which the object is moving. For example, in cricket, a batsman is hitting a moving ball with such force that it changes its direction. Force can change the shape of an object. A force acting on an object can change its shape. Have you ever kneaded dough or made chapatis? Notice how a rolling pin makes a ball of dough flat and round when you apply force. Another example is to squeeze a sponge and see how its shape changes. Types of forces. Various types of forces exist in nature. Some of them are given below. Gravitational force, electrostatic force, magnet force, frictional force. About gravitational force. Gravitational force or gravity is the force with which all objects in the universe attract each other. The gravitational force of the Earth pulls objects towards its center. Any object that is thrown upwards always comes down because of the Earth's gravity. Gravitational force always acts in the opposite direction when an object moves away from the Earth. It acts along the direction of motion of the object when it moves towards the Earth. About electrostatic force. The attractive or repulsive force that acts due to the presence of charges is called electrostatic force. About magnet forces. Magnets are substances that attract certain materials towards them. The force with which a magnet attracts certain materials is called magnetic force. The materials that get attracted towards a magnet are called magnetic materials. Magnets also apply force on each other. Every magnet has two poles known as the North Pole and the South Pole. When two like poles are brought near each other, they repel or oppose each other, whereas unlike poles attract each other. About frictional forces. Frictional force or friction acts on two objects that are in contact and at least one of them is in motion. It always acts opposite to the direction of motion. Hence, it slows down the motion of an object or stops it from moving completely. The force of friction produced depends on the nature of objects in contact. Rough surfaces offer more friction than smooth surfaces. Let us learn about some advantages and disadvantages of friction. Advantages of friction. Friction allows steady motion of objects. For example, we are able to walk steadily due to the friction between the ground and our shoes. The grooves on the sole of our shoes provide enough friction to prevent us from falling. Vehicles move steadily on the road because of the friction between the tires and the road. Friction produces heat which we use for different purposes. For example, a matchstick is struck against the rough surface of a matchbox. Heat is produced due to friction which lights the matchstick. When we rub our hands together, heat is produced due to friction which keep our hands warm. Disadvantages of friction. With increase in friction, it becomes difficult to move an object as more force is needed to overcome friction. For example, moving heavy objects on a rough surface is difficult. Friction causes the surface of an object to wear out. For example, soles of shoes and surface of tires wear out because of friction. About energy. The ability to do work is called energy. Energy is present around us in many forms and we get it from different sources. For example, during the day, the sun gives out light and heat energy. At night, street lights use electrical energy to light the roads. The food we eat gives us the energy to work and play. Let us learn about the different forms of energy. About heat energy. Heat is a form of energy. Heat energy is obtained from the sun and also by burning fuels like coal, petrol, and kerosene. We use heat energy for cooking food and keeping us warm. About light energy. Light energy helps us to see things around us. The sun is a natural source of light. Some artificial sources of light are electric bulb, candle, tube light, lamp, etc. Plants also use light energy from the sun to prepare food. About mechanical energy. The energy that an object has due to its position or its motion is called mechanical energy. Mechanical energy is of two types, potential energy and kinetic energy. The energy that an object has due to its position with respect to the ground is called potential energy. For example, water stored in a dam or overhead tank. The energy that an object has due to its motion is called kinetic energy. All moving objects have kinetic energy. For example, a moving car and a bullet fired from a gun. About electrical energy. The most common and useful form of energy nowadays is electrical energy. This form can be easily converted to other forms of energy. Sources of electrical energy are cells and generators. Most of the common household appliances such as fans, mobiles, watches, televisions, and computers run on electrical energy. About sound energy. Sound is a form of energy that is produced by vibration of objects. Some sources of sound energy are radio, loudspeaker, and musical instruments. About wind energy. The energy obtained from the moving wind is called wind energy. Windmills help in converting wind energy into electrical energy. Simple machines. Machines are tools that make our work easier by reducing the amount of force needed to do the work. Machines can be simple or complex. Tools such as scissors, screws, tongs, and knives that help us in doing work efficiently and easily are called simple machines. There are 6 basic types of simple machines: lever, pulley, inclined, plane, screw wedge, and wheel and axle. Complex machines are made of 2 or more simple machines. For example, a bicycle is a complex machine made up of lever, screw, and wheel and axle. Let us learn more about simple machines. A lever is a ridge rod made to rest on and move around a fixed support. It consists of 3 parts. Fulcrum, it is the fixed point or support on which the rod moves freely. Effort, it is the force that is applied on the free end of the rod to enable the other end to perform work. Load, it is the object on which work has to be done. Depending on the position of these parts, levers are classified into 3 types: first class, second class, and third class. First class. In this type of levers, the fulcrum is between the load and the effort. Some examples are scissors, crowbars, seesaw, and claw hammers. Second class levers. In this type of lever, the load is between the effort and the fulcrum. Some examples are wheelbarrows, bottle openers, and lemon squeezers. Third class levers. In this type of levers, the effort is between the fulcrum and the load. Some examples are a pair of tongues, a stapler, a fishing rod, and tweezers. I bought wheel and axle. Wheel and axle is a simple machine in which is attached to a rod called the axle. The wheel and the axle work together. When force is applied to the wheel, the axle turns. Some examples are steering wheels, door knobs, and giant wheels. About pulley. A pulley is made up of a small wheel with a groove on its outer edge and a rope or chain running over the groove. The wheel rotates around an axle. They are used to lift weights. They are of two types, fixed and movable. In a fixed pulley, the axle is attached to a support like a hook or ball. It makes work easier by changing the direction of the force applied. Some examples are pulleys used in wells and on flagpoles. In a movable pulley, the axle is not attached to any support and is free to move along with the load. Movable pulleys are used along with fixed pulleys to reduce the effort. An example is cranes used in construction sites to lift heavy loads with less effort. About inclined plane. An inclined plane is a slope or a ramp or any slanting surface that helps to carry loads. It requires less force to move an object up an inclined plane than it does to lift the object vertically. Some examples are a slide in the park, ramps in hospitals to push wheelchairs up and down, and ramps for loading and unloading goods on trucks and aeroplanes. About wedge. A wedge is a simple machine made by placing two surfaces, at least one of which is in inclined plane back to form a sharp cutting surface. Some examples are cutting edges of knives, needles, and axes. About screw. A screw is an inclined plane wrapped around a central cylinder. It is used to hold things tightly together. It can be turned using a screwdriver. Screws are useful in fixing doors, hinges, and handles. Nuts and bolts, a dentist's chair. A bottle or toothpaste cap and a screw jack are all examples of screws. Force and energy keywords. Magnetic force, the force with which a magnet attracts certain materials. Frictional force, a force that acts on two objects that are in contact and at least one of them is in motion. Heat energy, energy obtained by burning fuels like oil and gas. Mechanical energy, energy that an object has due to its position or motion. Sound energy, energy produced by the vibration of objects. Simple machine, a tool or a device that makes work easier by reducing the effort. Force and energy summary. Force is a push or a pull applied on an object. Force can start or stop the motion of an object or change the speed and direction of motion or set an object in motion at rest. Force can change the shape of an object. The different types of forces are gravitational, frictional, magnetic, and electrostatic. Heat, light, electrical, mechanical, wind, and sound are different forms of energy. Machines make our work easier. 6 types of simple machines are lever, wheel and axle, inclined plane, pulley, wedge and screw.